Good evening, everyone. This is Angie Stewart here from Kardec Radio. So we are from My Inner Light here, Kardec Radio, live on Facebook. And tonight, another great chapter of this beautiful book, Thought and Life. So just to talk to you a little bit about Kardec Radio. So Kardec Radio nowadays, you can actually listen through Kardec Radio application. You can just download the app on your phone and you can listen to the talk. But you can also download SoundCloud. You can download all the beautiful books there, so you can listen to them there also. You can see all these videos and all these studies in the YouTube channel or here live on Facebook. So there are so many ways that only if you don't want to improve, if you don't want to listen and to participate of the studies, is that you are not going to do it. But we want to do it. So that's why we are here. And it's 9:03. We have a few friends arriving. So the last time I was here, I don't know what I did. I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't see anybody asking questions. I actually couldn't see anyone at all. So I thought I was alone. I was like, that's strange. We don't even have one person. But I did something that I still don't know what was it. But today is good. I can see people arriving. So I think everything is normal. Let me just fix this thing here. So very good. So let me say just hello to the ones who are already arriving. I see Renata Casadei. Welcome, welcome, Renata. Teresa Castro. Hello, Teresa. I miss you. We have Carla Marques, my dear friend. Thank you for being here. Hipólito Rebolo. Hello, friends. From Pirajuí, Brazil. Ooh, wow, that's so nice. Very good. Nice to have you here, Hipólito. That's really good. Sol Souza, hey Sol, Connecticut. Very, very good. So, guys, you have been here before, so you know how we always do. We always start with a simple prayer just to connect us, to have like some inspiration from our guardian angels. And also I like to have always a bottle of water, because we believe in spiritism. The spirits will bless that water, and that water will be our medication for the week. And because our class is bi-weekly, and so you can actually put some water there if it's finished, and in 2 weeks when we are back here, we can do it all over again. So I just would like to invite you to calm down, relax, while we do our quick prayer, okay? Almighty God, beloved Master Jesus, thank you so much for bringing us together here. Another beautiful night, another beautiful study. Please help all of us to be able to connect with our guardian angels. Help us to receive this inspiration, so we will be able to talk about it, to reflect about the messages, and to be able to fully understand what is going to be said here tonight. Thank you so much. So be it. Very, very good, guys. So you all know that we study the Thought and Life for 30 minutes, and then we study the Gospel for 30 minutes. And I just wanted to show you this book, Among Brothers of Other Lands. This was written by Francisco Xavier and Valdo Vieira during the trips they did to the United States. They actually came to the United States twice, and they were in New York the last time they came here. So the messages here are very touching, are very beautiful, and they were messages written in English. So the spirits, they gave the messages in English to Chico and to Valdo. And it's really interesting because Chico Xavier never spoke English, and he was able to psychograph messages in our mother language of the United States of America. So I thought it would be really interesting for us that we live abroad. Most of us live in the United States. So it would be interesting for us to understand the messages the spirits gave to Chico and Valdo Vieira in that time. And even for you, Hipólito, for example, that live in our beautiful Brazil, you can understand what would be living abroad, what kind of difficulties people that live in other countries they go through. And we know nothing, never happens by chance. There are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. So if we are here, it's because something we have to do here. Something we were able to come to this country, or we had to come to this country because of something bigger that we don't even know. So I believe this will be a great book. And this loving book, Thought and Life, that we have been studying for quite a while, we will be doing 24 today, chapter 24. We're going to be studying about humility. And then we will have just 5 more chapters, because this book ends in the chapter 30th. So this is it's faster than we imagined. So in another 5, in another today, in another 5 times we will complete the book, and we will start the other one. So if you have a Spiritist center nearby you, if you can buy this book, it will be great. If you can't, it is possible to get this book through few Spiritist centers mailed to you. I know Inner Enlightenment sells it. I know also the Spiritist Federation of Florida sells it, and it's $20. So let me know if you can't have access to this book. I will see how we can do to be able to purchase and to help you to have it. So going back here, let's go to chapter 24. And if you don't have the book, I took pictures of the chapters, and it is in the My Inner Light Facebook page. You can go to photos, then you're going to see the picture of the book, and you can access the chapter there. So I will read it, and then we can make comments. And please feel free to write what you're feeling about it, what you understood, or things that you're thinking about that might be related, or to ask questions, and we can all talk about it, okay? So let's go. Humility. Humility through divine power is magnificently manifested in all of the kingdoms of nature that are the exact expression of the throne of God, thus promoting renewal and progress. The sun, despite its greatness, touches the muddy swamp every day without complaining. The flower silently perfumes the air. By streaming through rocks, water is filtered to attain greater purity. And not long after a natural catastrophe, the grass again covers the fields, bidding people to resume their work. Whenever there is a lack of humility, that is essentially the acknowledgement of our smallness before the universe. The result is a blockage of one's feelings. leading to manifestations such as pride, covetousness, selfishness, and vanity that are responsible for discord of all sorts of delinquency. Without the mental reflexes of humility, that's a divine attribute in our ego, people may imagine that they are the exclusive owners of the goods around them, obvious of their primary nature as spirits who travel on the path of evolution. They rule the existence in a selfish way and transform their souls into towers of illusion, locking themselves inside and refusing any contact with the realities of life. Because these people are controlled by the spell of their negative attitudes, they rebel against anyone who tries to convince them to make a better use of their time. Seeing that without humility we are often unable to free ourselves from the trauma of shadows to which we may have remained attached upon reaching the dawn of reason, resulting from the animal kingdom that we should have left behind. When people are ruled by the limiting spirit of materialism, they are easily drawn into feelings of despair, jealousy, resentment, and intemperance that cause psychic tension. Dangerous syndromes of an organic nature may also follow, such as depressive and emotional disturbances, ulceration and cellular dysfunction, not to mention the unfortunate events of everyday life. Lack of humility can drive people to acts of insanity when faced by passionate conflicts. People who wear the crown of humility will gladly work and serve for the good, the general good. They will bring harmony to their being by expressing in themselves the divine laws which never make a show of the bounties they pour upon all. Humility is not subservience, it is primarily independence and inner freedom, springing of one's spirit, sustaining its continuous renewal towards goodness. To cultivate it is to advance without attachment. Yes, to cultivate it is to advance without attachment. To project the best of ones towards others, to forget all evil and joyfully begin once more the task of love. And now comes the phenomenal endings of Emmanuel, because all his endings are always really powerful. So the last paragraph. In order to reflect humility from heaven to earth for redemption and beauty, the Christ of God was born in a manger, covered with straw, and bid farewell to men on the outstretched arms of a cross. So this is really, really an amazing example of humility. When we know that Jesus is the governor of the planet Earth, and he came here really to be the example for us. He came really to show us how we should better live our lives, to teach us that in that time we were spirits very rebellious spirits in the time of Jesus. Imagine 2,000 years ago. If we are already rebellious right now, if we have lots of problems right now, lots of disagreements with family members, with neighbors, with people at work, imagine in that time, imagine 2,000 years ago when we were really rude, when we really tougher spirits. So Jesus came here to help us through his example. He didn't come here to purify us from our mistakes, as some beliefs tell people. No, he came here to show his example, living here with us. So imagine, he created the planet Earth. He organized it. It was his baby, created that huge sphere of a fire, and then was able to condensate it and start sending living beings, the dinosaurs, and then the first cells. We go through the animals, then finally humanity start reincarnating on the planet. And then he came to teach us how to be more loving, more forgiving. But he could have come in any way he desired. You know, imagine, like, he could have come as a king, as the son of a powerful family, to show people. But no, he came in a super, ultra humble way, in a very simple couple, in a super, super simple way. And he lived his life very, very humble, and really just having the minimum he could to survive, walking with his disciples, teaching always love, forgiveness, doing the miracles that we know they are not miracles, but understanding Jesus is such a higher, elevated spirit. He knows how to manipulate the fluids. He knows how to manipulate all the fluids from earth, the fluids from the vegetable kingdom. So he was able to do things that we still cannot. Another thing is like Jesus being a pure spirit, he really could see through people. If we know some mediums can reach close to people and they can feel the energy of the person, feeling if that person is positive or is a negative person, if that person has problems, or even looking at the spirituality around that person. This I'm talking about mediums, normal people. Imagine Jesus. So if Chico Xavier, when he was incarnated, sometimes he had a difficulty to understand if the person was incarnated or not. Imagine Jesus, he sees everything. He sees everything. He sees all the spirits are like here. But as we read about, we know his love was so powerful that the energy that he imposed in people made everybody get like shocked. If you had the opportunity to read the beautiful book 2,000 years ago, please read it. This is one of the most beautiful novels that I have ever read in my life. And it was also Emmanuel who wrote it about his own life. And there is one portion on that book that he mentions that he was the Roman senator, Publius Lentulus. And he was kind of persecuting Jesus. He was against him. But then his daughter is sick, and he goes searching for him, trying to find him out because he heard he's doing all kinds of miracles. Then he goes searching, and then he said that when he saw Jesus, that eyes looked at him. He said the energy he sent was so powerful that he was paralyzed. He was absolutely paralyzed. I can just imagine nowadays, if we see someone that we really love much, let's do some kind of silly comparison. You see a singer, or you see an actress or an actor that you admire, you see on the street, I'm sure you're going to be like, oh, wow. Isn't that like something like that? You see Barack Obama, like, oh my God. Yeah, I would be like that. Probably I was going to run trying to do a selfie with him. So imagine if you're able to be close to a figure that similar to Jesus. It's in our head, it's difficult even to think about it. But it would be really like something that we would be paralyzed in emotion with this loving figure so close to us. So in this beautiful chapter 24, Emmanuel is explaining how humility is important, how humility is everywhere, even in nature. He ends the chapter talking about Jesus coming to earth in a simple manger and leaving earth on the cross because we put him there. So very humble. And we know that as Judas imagined, Judas loved Jesus, but he imagined Jesus needed some kind of help to invoke, to call the angels, that he was the commander in chief. That's what Judas thought. So in Judas' mind, he was like, if I send him to jail momentarily, Jesus will have no way other than, okay, angels come down and let's do this revolution, because that's what Judas wanted. He wanted a revolution to remove the Roman people and to empower the Hebrew people. But it was not the message of Jesus. Judas misunderstood it. And that's why he got full of guilt, he despaired, and then he committed the suicide. So here, Emmanuel is explaining beautifully how in nature there is also humility. And it's funny, like in nature, like before reading this chapter, I really didn't think about that. We think of like nature like something normal, something standard, something that happens in that way. Yes, because God created. But the second paragraph is really beautiful when he talks about the sun, despite its greatness, touches the muddy swamp every day without complaining. Isn't that beautiful? It's like, yes, the sun, the beautiful sun, touches everywhere, everywhere. He touches the mansions, but he also touches the super simple houses. He touches the beautiful beaches, for example, but he also touches the swamp. And this is humility in nature. And then he continues. The flower silently perfumes the air. By streaming through rocks, water is filtered to attain the greater purity. And not long after a natural catastrophe, the grass again covers the fields, bidding people to resume their work. And this is true. Whenever like a catastrophe happens, everybody gets so desperate. And here we are in Florida, we are in Miami, so we know here there are the hurricanes once a year. They come and they destroy a lot of things, and it's a natural thing. It happens. Sometimes happens more than once. But when it's happening, it's a moment of despair, and yes, people can die, lots of things can happen. But when it passes, it's funny, because that's the sensation of a cleanliness. And the sun shines again, almost like saying, okay, whatever happened, and now it's time to go back. Like the ants, the ants it's beautiful how they work like in their community, so connected together. If you could examine ant house, I forgot how it's called, but when a piece is destroyed, like the part, usually the part on the top, you know, somebody steps on it or an animal digs a hole. So immediately the soldiers go out to investigate what happened, to protect, to attack. And as soon as everything is clear, they go back to build it up again in the same place. They build up again. They see whatever damage was done and they reconstruct. And you know, ants are going through their instinct. Imagine us people. We have much more than instinct. We have intelligence. But that's why we are studying this book, because in every chapter we learn something, and sometimes something that we never thought about it. So this for me was very new, because this humility is also in nature. So it's so beautiful, it's so touching. And then he continues, whenever there is a lack of humility, that's essentially the acknowledge of our smallness before the universe. The result is a blockage of one's feelings, leading to manifestations such as pride, covetousness, selfishness, and vanity, that are responsible for discord and all sorts of delinquency. So yes, it is true. When we think about it, it's true. When a person is not humble enough to accept something, for example, a person is not humble enough to accept somebody that thinks differently than me. I like red, for example. Somebody else likes yellow. They are both beautiful colors. But we have to respect that I like red and the person likes yellow. We cannot impose our desires or our beliefs or whatever we think in another person. And unfortunately, nowadays that we have media, you know, social media, for such easy to access, we have Facebook and so many other types of platforms. We see lots of things happening that are not very nice. You know, we see a lot of people fighting because of politics. It's tough. It's tough. I might not agree with someone, but I have to learn. I have to learn how to respect. Yes, might not be easy, because in our minds, some things are really drastic, are really negative, are really mean, but we have to learn how to respect. So it is an exercise of humility. Every day is an exercise of humility. So today I was driving back home, and I was talking to my friend Carla when she told me that a presidential candidate in Brazil was actually stabbed by a man. I was shocked. We know these things happen. You know, in the United States, the presidents, they need to have security forever, not just while they are presidents, but forever, because we know there are people that we want to kill them. But you know, it's shocking when it comes to Brazil, for example, that we are supposedly more peaceful. And it's a candidate. He's not even a president. He is just a candidate. And yes, he is very drastic in his affirmations, in the way he wants to govern Brazil, for example, if he becomes a president. But it's an absurd that someone tries to take the life of somebody else because they think different. This is so sad, and it's terrible. And we have to really go against it. And yes, what are we going to do? What can we do? We are going to go some kind of a manifestation against the man who stabbed him? No, we have it really to do what is upon our powers. Everybody is different. But if we think, what is our immediate power? The biggest power we all have is the power of prayer. And you might be thinking, yeah, but prayer is really not going to do much. But no, no. If you're thinking like this, if you 1 second you thought about that, that's not true. If we are studying, if you read the books, there are so many beautiful books of the spirit of André Luiz too. And through these books, he mentions how many things change because of prayer. Many times mothers are desperate with the sons and the daughters who are getting into trouble, who are going to do something that's not good. And that mother prays fervently because she can't do anything else. She cannot go, she cannot avoid that from happening. So she prays. And then something happens because whenever we pray sincerely, we are always listened, always listened. The guardian angels, the spirits who are really trying to help, not just us, but everyone else, they will quickly do something. And we see how important it is. It is in January, every day, every day. And when we go through the book, we see that this people act aggressively, and unfortunately many times we answer aggressively too, unfortunately, because if we were able to control ourselves a little bit more, we wouldn't be answering in the same way we are being attacked. But we are still not evolved enough to be able to control ourselves. I'm not saying this every day because, yes, there are days that we are like little angels, like, today, forget about everybody, everything happening, I'm so good. I remember in New York City, the worst places are in the subways. They're always super crowded, and thousands of people really tight. So it's always super stressful, and people stepping on other people, drunk people, people don't touch me. So you almost have like to go praying, to go to work praying, to come back praying, because you never know what could happen. But if we could do this, we would be in a much, much better situation because we would be more connected with our guardian angel. And whenever a situation of aggressiveness happened, we would say, oof, no, this is not with me. I'm not going to answer in the same way. And then if you go to the second page, if you go to page 90, you see what happened in our physical body also, because this is like something that's important. It happens in our physical body, because he says on the second paragraph, when people are ruled by limiting spirit of materialism, they are easily drawn into feelings of despair, jealousy, resentment, and intemperance that cause psychic tensions, like some kind of mental tension, if we can say like that. And then he continues, dangerous syndromes of an organic nature may follow, such as depressive and emotional disturbances. And then he continues, ulceration and cellular dysfunction, not to mention the unfortunate events of everyday life. All this and events of our daily life. So this is for us to start thinking. Sometimes we are like, we get so much tension, but it's because something, we were acting in a way that's not very humble with something. And it's funny because some people, usually people who are actually very rich, or people who are actually very humble, very powerful, they are very humble. They are very simple. So it's like, wow, You know, sometimes you see these billionaires, and they are actually people, they are very, very nice. If you ever met, they would treat you very loving. But sometimes people that are kind of more or less, just because the person has a little bit better job, maybe has a little bit better house, they are full of themselves. They think they are really something special and they have to be treated in a special way. And whenever something doesn't go the way they want, then it's like an internal war. They like first they get like crazy, and then they start acting crazy on others. So we see this happening every day. You know, every day we see things like this happening. And if we see something like that, let's try not to be like that. If we ever reach to a point that we are better in life, let's try to be the humble people that he mentions here too. He in the other paragraph, people who wear the crown of humility will gladly work and serve for general good. That's what we want. That's what we wish for the world to be like that. That we will be able to work to everyone, to help everyone. Not just to think about me, or my family, but in general. And that's what will be the word one day. Yesterday I was in the Spiritist Center and we are studying the gospel according to Spiritism, and in the class we were studying the different worlds. So it's a little bit more advanced than what we are right now. So we were studying about the highly elevated words and the primitive words, the differences. And it's amazing because we were reading about the regenerative worlds. That's the category the planet Earth is right now. And there is almost the biggest amount of love than the biggest amount of negativity, for example. It's almost like we can say 51% of love and 49% of not that much of love. But the difference is that right now we are in the initial phase. Imagine in the planet Earth right now, we still feel like the other category, the trials and expiations. We still feel like that because you know the planet is billions of years old, and we just enter the regenerative phase. So it's going to take few incarnations for us to start feeling more love than more hatred. We start feeling that the people are really looking forward helping each other than like helping myself. But in a good way, in a positive way, is that we see that's a lot and lot of people, much more than before, are committed to help causes, to be more charitable, sending money to whatever causes happened. And nowadays, internet, as everything in life, everything is a balance. Internet had lots of problems, but internet has lots of good things, and the social media has lots of good things. So you can post on social media a problem that's happening in Africa, and you can create a GoFundMe, for example, and lots of people can contribute and help a person that's in the other side of our planet. So this is beautiful, and we have seen more and more of this happening. But when the planet Earth is a little bit deeper in the regenerative phase, then we will be really seeing much more love, because a lot of less envy, a lot of all these problems mentioned, they will be much less. Jealousy. People are not going to be jealous because somebody got a great job. They are going to be happy for them. Even if they don't have a good job yet, they will be happy for that people. Nowadays, most of the people get envious, like, wow, why he has a good job and I don't have a good job. But it will be different because we will start looking more like the society, really more like a family, more like brothers and sisters, not just It's my co-workers, but they are my brothers and sisters too. So it's beautiful. So this book is always bringing us a knowledge and understanding that there is hope. There will be always something better. And it's a lesson for us. Whatever level we are in anything, we have to learn to be more humble always. Because even if nature acts with humbleness, there are acts of humility every single day. So what are we doing that we could be more humble? What can I do tomorrow to make me more humble? If you live in a building, when you get out by the door, do you say hello to your doorman? Whenever you go in the subway and somebody holds the door for you, that sometimes it happens, do you say thank you? A lot of people don't do that. They think this is like, oh, forget it, don't even know that person. But no, there are little acts that make something big and important. So, you know, the example of a Jesus that's the first thing we comment, is really the biggest act of humility. So the king of the planet came and left in such a humble way, always spreading his love, his ideas of peace and forgiveness to us. So that's how we have to learn how to live the same way he lived. That's the very important message. My God, I talked a lot. We have to go to the gospel. So next week we are going to study 25, tolerance, another very important chapter. So let's go to the gospel according to Spiritism. So last week we are still reading chapter 1, and we were reading number 5. So we read about Moses, about Christ, about Spiritism, and today we are going to read about the alliance between science and religion. So let's go. We are number 8. Science and religion are the two levers of human intelligence. One reveals the laws of the material world, and the other the laws of the moral world, but neither having the same principle, which is God, can contradict the other. So, you know, religion and science, the main core is God. So they should not contradict each other. If they were to negate each other, one would necessarily be wrong and the other right, because God could not possibly be willing to destroy God's own work. The incompatibility that it's thought to exist between these two orders of ideas arises from the erroneous observation and an excess of exclusivity on one side and the other. This has resulted in a conflict from which both disbelief and intolerance have emerged. So we have to remember the gospel was written in the 1800s. So Kardec is talking about that terrible problem that was happening in that time, still happening in that time, between religion and science. Still nowadays we have this type of problems, but nowadays it's much easier. It's much better. Nowadays we don't have a church condemning a scientist to die on the fire, for example. Thank God we are evolving. But we see here Kardec's commenting that whenever there is intolerance in one of the sides, that's whenever the problems start, and we know that. So the time has come in which Christ's teachings must receive their completion, in which the veil cast intentionally over some parts of these teachings must be lifted, in which science ceases to be exclusively materialistic and takes into account the spiritual element, in which religion ceases to misinterpret the organic and immutable laws of matter. These two forces, supporting each other and advancing together, will lend each other mutual support. This is so beautiful, and that's exactly how it should be. Science and religion, they should be together. And it's beautiful that nowadays we have seen a lot of scientists really making scientific discovery that certain things that the people can't see really act. For example, there are scientific proofs that the people, when we pray for people, when we pray for someone sick, they actually get better. And this is a scientific research. They did research with hundreds of people. So certain groups, people would pray for them, and other groups, people would not pray for them. And they analyzed the ones who received the prayers, they recovered better. And also in the passes, in the healing passes that we have in the Spiritism, scientific proof was really done to prove that people who receive healing passes, they get better. There is actually a doctor called Emma Bragdon. She is a scientist, she's a doctor, and she deeply researches about passes. She went to Brazil few times already. She went to psychiatric hospitals doing this research, because there, in Brazil there are some hospitals who are spiritist hospitals. So all the people who work there believe in spiritism, and the people who go to the hospitals, they are also spiritists, or they believe the spiritism, the healing passes would benefit them. And so she did this very, very big research. When I was in New York, in Inner Enlightenment, she came to our center, she gave a lecture, she brought lots and lots of pictures of her research in the psychiatric hospitals in Brazil, and she said that she has scientific proof the healing passes work. So these are things that we can't see, but they exist. And thank God, science now is evolving enough to be able to grasp it, to start opening up, to understand what they cannot see. Because, most of the scientists, they still say, no, I cannot prove this. I don't want to get involved with this type of thing because this is not science. But little by little, science is accepting there are things that we cannot see, we cannot touch, we cannot prove yet, but there are things that they go beyond what science can prove. So this is really, really good. So continue. I think I stopped here. Then religion, no longer having to endure the discredit of science, will acquire unshakable power. It will be in accord with reason and will no longer be able to oppose irresistible logic of the facts. Very, very beautiful. Guys, if you want to say anything, if you want to comment anything, please just write and I would read and we can talk about it. But then continue. I am in page 57 and we are in chapter 1, number 8. Science and religion were unable to understand each other until today, because each examining matters from its own exclusive point of view. They mutually rejected each other. Something was needed to fill the gap that separated them, a mark of union that would bring them close to each other. This mark of union resided in the knowledge of the laws that govern the spirit world and its relations with the corporeal, laws as immutable as those governing the movement of heavenly bodies, and the existence of beings. Once they have a proving by experience, these relations caused in a new light to dawn. Faith turned toward reason. Reason found nothing illogical in faith, and materialism was defeated. But in this, as in everything else, there are persons who remain behind until they are swept along by the movement of the whole, which crushes them in if they try to resist it instead of surrendering to it. It is a whole moral revolution that is occurring at this time and is molding people's spirits. After being prepared for over more than 18 centuries, this revolution is nearing its fulfillment, and it will mark a new era for humankind. The consequences of this revolution are easy to foresee. As for social relations, it must bring inevitable changes that no person has the power to oppose, because they are in the designs of God and result from the law of progress, which is a law of God. So this is beautiful. It's saying that this evolution where science and religion will accept each other and will go further, they will understand each other, and they will be able to blend, they will be able to work together. It is happening. It's happened. But if there are people who still are ultra religious, say no, 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 there is science is not able to prove anything, we cannot get involved with science, or science talking the same thing about religion. We do not accept these things that you guys are saying are possible. These miracles don't exist. And we know miracles don't exist, but in the sense that everything is a natural law. Something is happening. But even the doctors, sometimes they say, this person will die, I don't know, in 3 days. The cancer is incurable. It's impossible. There is nothing else we can do. He needs to die in peace. But then we know cases. Even Divaldo Franco, the famous Brazilian medium, he even mentioned that he went to a doctor. He had cancer also. He went to a cancerologist who told him, your case is not good. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult to treat. And Divaldo got really nervous, and then Joana de Angelis told him to start talking to his own cells, to start talking to his own body, to start talking to the cancer cells. And Divaldo, he's very funny, so he started talking to the cells and saying, oh girls, what's going on? Why you're fighting with me? You have to help me. Of course, he didn't say exactly like that, but it was something like that. And then he said that he was undergoing passes, he was doing spiritual treatment, lots and lots of prayers. And then when he went back to the doctor, what happened? The cancer disappeared. I'm not saying that everyone who has cancer will be cured if they pray or if they have a spiritual treatment. No, because we also know there are some diseases that we need to go through. We need to die with it, because it's a part of our trials and our expiations. We will have to go through that pain. But there are others that if we have merit, if we have faith, and if we are doing something good, that we need to remain living on earth. So if the spirits can modify it and give us more time to stay here because we're doing something good, something positive, not just for ourselves, but as Divaldo, he was doing for a big community. So this possibility will happen. And the funny thing is that Divaldo said that The doctor gave him certain amount of months, I don't know how many, and the time passed, and Divaldo was invited to go to the doctor's funeral. Isn't that amazing? Like the doctor tells him, sorry, you're gonna die in whatever months, and then Divaldo ends up going to the funeral of the doctor who was healthy in the time. So we know there are no miracles, but there are things that we can't understand, and the doctors can't understand either, but we know it exists. And the faith is very, very important. You know that sentence, the faith moved the mountains, and it's true. It is true. It's not that we are going to physically move a mountain, but we can spiritually move a mountain. Thinking if this mountain is a problem, we can move that problem away within our mind. Understanding there are certain things that we cannot change. There are certain things that we have to face because they are part of our growth. We need to go through that so we will be a better person. We will overcome that. So better days will come. And as Chico Xavier always said, you know, the problems will go away, but the beautiful times, they will go away too. Everything passes. The important thing is that what we got from it, what we got from the problems and what we got from the happy moments, because everything passes. That's the important thing. So we have very few minutes, but I really would like to start the number 9. Let's go. The Spirit's teaching, the new era. Number 9, God is one, and Moses is the Spirit whom he sent on a mission to make him known not only to the Hebrews but to the pagan peoples as well. The Hebrew people were the instrument that God used to deliver the divine revelation through Moses and the prophets. And the vicissitudes of these people were meant to impress the eyes and bring down the veil that had hidden the divinity from humankind. God's commandments given through Moses contain the seed of the broadest Christian morality. However, biblical commentaries have restricted their meaning because put into practice in all their purity, they would not have been understood. Nevertheless, the Ten Commandments remain the shining frontispiece, the beacon that should have illuminated humankind on the road it was traveled. The morality taught by Moses was appropriate for the state of advancement of the people it was called to regenerate. And these people, semi-primitive with regard to the perfection of their soul, would not have understood that it was possible to worship God by means other than burnt offerings, or that they should forgive an enemy. Their intelligence, noteworthy from the materialistic point of view, and even from that of the arts and science, was morally quite backward, and they would never have been converted under the rule of an entirely spiritual religion. They needed a semi-material representation like the one the Hebrew religion offered them. Hence, burnt offerings spoke to their senses, whether the idea of a God spoke to their spirit. So they had like this half and half because of their semi-primitive evolution. So they couldn't really have a spiritual doctrine that's absolutely spiritual because of their level of advancement. So it was important for them to have this half and half. So they still had to burn certain things, thinking that burning that piece, for example, was gonna make the divinity, was gonna make God happier with them. So Christ was the initiator of the purest and most sublime morality, the evangelical Christian morality that is to renew the world, bring men and women together, and make them brothers and sisters. That is to enable charity and love for one neighbor to blossom forth in all human hearts, and create a common solidarity amongst all humans, a morality, in short, that's to transform the earth and make it a dwelling place for spirits more highly evolved than those inhabiting it today. It is the law of progress, to which nature is subject and which is self-fulfilling. And Spiritism is the lever that God is employing to enable humankind to advance. So this is so beautiful when you imagine the spirits, us, incarnated in time of Moses, still being a semi-primitive spirit. And then hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reincarnations happened, and we came and gone, came and gone. We were able to evolve enough to be reincarnated in the time of Jesus, when Jesus brought this God that was very different than the God Moses brought. Moses brought the God of fear, because we needed to be afraid of something to respect it. But then when Jesus came, Jesus brought this God of love, this really loving Father that is able to understand us, is able to understand our mistakes. But we were able to understand because we were more advanced. So the last paragraph says, the time has come in which moral ideas must be developed so that the progress contained in the designs of God may be. These ideas must follow the same route that the ideas of liberty, the fortune runners, traveled. However, one should not believe that this development will occur without struggle. No, in order to reach maturity, these ideas need to be discussed and argued over so that they may attract the attention of the masses. Once attention is fixed on them, the beauty and sanctity of a Christ morality will touch people's minds, and they will become interested in a science that provides them with the key to the future life, and opens to them the door to eternal happiness. It was Moses who opened the way. Jesus continued the work, and Spiritism shall finish it. An Israelite Spirit, Mulhouse, 1861. Beautiful message, really beautiful message, explaining how things are done. I already mentioned this so many times. To a long, powerful, tall building to be constructed, need to have a very solid base. If there is no solid base, this building can collapse. So Moses was the solid base, and the Jesus is the building, is the whole building. And Spiritism is the key to open and go inside of this beautiful building of knowledge. And that's what we are living through right now. So it's beautiful that we reach to this point of evolution that we can understand it. So we don't believe in Spiritism, we understand it. We understand, and the spirits, they bring us all the news of what happened after death. So nowadays, when somebody comes to me and jokes, I have no idea what happens after death because nobody ever came to say how is in the other side. I said, you are talking to a spiritist and a medium, so I know how is in the other side. Usually people look at me like, whoa, she's weird. But one day they will also understand. So that's the good thing. And what we learned today, humility. humility to accept that some people do not believe as you do, but respect, because God is the one who knows everything. We don't know anything. God knows everything. And everyone has a different time to understand or to believe in certain things. And that's okay. We will all reach there one day. That's the most important thing. So my friends, let's do our quick prayer. We are finished for tonight. So let's close our eyes. Inhale, exhale, and connect our thoughts with God, Jesus, our guardian angels. Thank you so much for bringing us all this knowledge, all these ideas. Please help us to connect with it. Help us to be able to go to sleep, to reflect about everything we spoke tonight. If possible, to visit worlds that are more advanced than ours, so we can feel this love that one day Earth will be like that. Thank you so much for bringing this knowledge to us. Thank you so much for bringing this love to us. And please stay with us during these 2 weeks until we come back here again. Thank you so much. So be it. So my friends, thank you so much for being here. It was great. It's always great to talk about positive things. It's always great to talk about spiritism. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye. See you soon.